Lynaya Astephen has lived in Redhead for 8 years and loved it until she learned that a tank farm will be built across the road from her property.
We are very much the sacrifice zone here in Redhead with this pipeline.
The Energy East pipeline project includes construction of 18 giant tanks like these to store the oil until it's shipped offshore. Astephen fears her quality of life is about to change dramatically.
I'm worried about smells, I'm worried about lights and sounds. As you can see around here, it's very quiet. You can hear the ocean practically from here, and I'm not going to have that.
Until now, most of the environmental concerns have focused on the impact of an oil spill on the Bay of Fundy, either a spill from one of the supertankers or from a rupture in the pipeline itself. Less has been said about the potential impact on air quality in this area.
They haven't assessed the odor really at all in the application so far.
Dr. Ken Froese is an environmental chemist who studied the health implications of the project. He says New Brunswick does not have guidelines for emissions of chemicals like benzene, and he wonders how that will impact TransCanada's response to complaints.
Will the company take it seriously if people are experiencing odors and health effects from those odors, but there are no guidelines being, in a sense, exceeded?
A spokesman for TransCanada says the criticism is premature because the company has yet to file its health and environmental risk assessment. The company did confirm today that the St. John terminal will have a bigger capacity than originally planned, now that a Quebec terminal is no longer part of the project.
There is definitely going to be more of it. The tanks are going to be 6 stories tall.
TransCanada says it will release its revised plans for the Redhead tank farm in the days to come. Mike Cameron, CTV News, St. John.
Well, there's word tonight TransCanada Pipelines plans to nearly double the size of its proposed oil storage facility in St. John. That's if the Energy East pipeline gets built, of course. TransCanada's 4,600-kilometre pipeline would use a network of new and repurposed pipelines to send oil sands crude from Alberta to St. John. Initial plans for a marine terminal in Quebec have since been abandoned. The company will now be sending all its product to the port city. And that has residents who will be living near the tank farm in Redhead worried. Here's Rachel Cave with that story.
They'll start over there, and they're going to continue. So all those woods will be gone.
If the pipeline comes from Alberta, Lynaya Astephen will have to live with the result. All that woodland and open field across from her house.
It's very beautiful currently. It's a lot of nature.
Will turn into a tank farm. 18 tanks, they told her. Now she's hearing 22.
There's going to be more tanks. We don't want it to begin with, not more.
Astephen says she's getting her information from people who attended a community meeting last week.
They told us the tanks would be about 70 feet tall, which is the height of a 6-story building. They would be about 10 feet taller than the tanks they had originally proposed.
TransCanada would not confirm today whether total capacity is projected to almost double, from 7 million barrels to more than 13 million barrels. But spokesman Tim Dubois did say last month changes are coming.
But will it mean more volume of crude flowing through St. John?
Yeah, it's going to mean a higher volume of crude coming through St. John, and I don't think that comes as a surprise to anybody.
No surprise after TransCanada quit its plan to build an export terminal in Quebec after facing growing protests from environmentalists. That leaves just St. John as the only place to move the oil from the pipeline onto ships.
They really haven't looked at catastrophic events, leaks, spills, fires, things like that.
Ken Froese was hired by the Council of Canadians to study the risk. The council opposes the pipeline. He says a doubled tank farm would only cause him more concern with issues he's raised already.
The assessment that I reviewed would need to be redone altogether.
TransCanada says it will soon submit the details of its changes. Today, while they did confirm they're looking for bigger capacity, they say the footprint will not be bigger. Landowners say building higher, not wider, is no consolation. Rachel Cave, CBC News, St. John.
This is definitely not a done deal.
That's the continued sentiment of people in the St. John area opposed to the proposed Energy East pipeline project. The latest information isn't coming from pipeline builder TransCanada, but from a national environmental organization who paid for an examination of the company's human health risk assessment. The Council of Canadians commissioned this report. It says it uncovered some serious gaps in TransCanada's conclusions. Dr. Ken Froese carried out the analysis and says the assessment is limited in scope, including a lack of study on potential catastrophic events.
Spills, leaks, that nature, with a tank farm of that size, with the marine terminal filling tankers, all that kind of stuff, the residents really should know about the possible consequences of a major event.
He also says there are no open discussions on the effect of odor to people's health. TransCanada says its final assessment hasn't even been filed. They say a worst-case scenario situation with no safety measures in place will be a part of it.
What that allows you to do is work backwards so that you then develop the appropriate measures and safety responses so that when you're in operation, you do have a safe terminal, you have a safe operation.
That's not soothing to members of the Redhead Anthony's Cove Preservation Association.
I find it odd that it's taking so long to get this information out, and the Council of Canadians had to hire someone to help us learn about that.
And then there's the issue of the proposed tank farm. Opponents say it would be here in this field directly across from residential homes. They say the decision not to build a marine terminal in Quebec will mean more than the planned 18 tanks here, with much more capacity. TransCanada didn't have specific numbers today, but says they should be made public within days.
What I can tell you today is that while the capacity of the tank terminal will increase as a function of that, it's not going to be double what the original plan was, and the actual footprint of the facility is not going to be any bigger.
Andrew Cromwell, Global News, St. John.